Good morning. I'm John Casper with the Oshkosh Chamber, and thanks again for joining us for our weekly virtual town hall meeting. We've had a great number of speakers over the last. I think we've been doing these for 8 weeks now, every week, and attendance has been outstanding. Participation very good. So today we're taking a look at a sector we haven't talked about. I mean, we've kind of hit on the government side, some business side, but we really haven't talked about the social sector and the effect that, and what's occurred over the last, 8 to 10 weeks in terms of service delivery, in terms of funding, in terms of need out in the community. And it's something very glaring that we're all, seeing and experiencing here. Today we have, I call it the dream team. We have Marc, CEO of the Boys and Girls Club, Jeff Schneider, CEO of Oshkosh Community YMCA, Dilling, CEO, a lot of CEOs here, boy, CEO of the Oshkosh Area United Way, and Bill Wyman, President. I'm going to throw CEO in there too, of the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. They'll be here to talk about what they're seeing out in the marketplace in terms of delivery of services, the funding component of those services and other services, and trying to address need here in the community. Marc has a prior commitment. He adjusted his schedule for us so he could be with us early in the program. We're going to have Marc go on first. Marc is a short timer. I think. You're scheduled for a retirement coming up here shortly, but you've been great addition in the community. I think you've been running the Boys and Girls Club for a number of years and done a phenomenal job with Boys and Girls Club. So we're happy to have had you at the helm there, and sad to see you go. But things change, right? So. With that, anyways, I'm going to throw it over to Marc. And Marc, if you could just take it away.
Thanks, John. Yes, I will step down from the job at the end of December. Have loved this job. This has probably been my favorite job of my lifetime, working with this particular Boys and Girls Club in this community. It's been a fabulous community to work for, and was here for 17 years. And I know that the club's in good hands going forward with the board and with Tracy Ogden taking over as CEO in January. In terms of our Boys and Girls Club and how this has impacted us, I will say that having to be closed as an organization was very challenging for us in terms of how to figure out how to still serve kids and families. We were closed for about 2.5 months. So we turned our direction to serving families other ways, virtual services to kids, to online tutoring, mentoring. We also focused our attention on meeting basic needs, so lots of food boxes, groceries, grocery cards, cleaning supplies, and hygiene supplies out to families who we work with regularly at the club. So lots of time doing that, and then projects in the buildings to get the building ready for when we opened up again. In terms of funding, it was all over the table. Our biggest hit was Wine Feast is our big gala every year that was scheduled for April. We moved it to the end of September. We're watching that very closely because that is a major source of income for the club there. And then struggling with things like program fees for our licensed fee-based programs we do at some schools. Certainly those kind of things. In terms of families and kids, we know they missed the Boys and Girls Club. We were pleased to be able to open the club again about June 1st. Just under some very different circumstances based on some guidelines from the health department and state licensing and DCFS. So our challenge has been trying to serve these kids at the club under those guidelines, smaller ratios of kids to staff, keeping them in certain areas, temperature checks every day, disinfecting every day, those kinds of things. So normally we'd serve about 325 kids a day. We're serving 180 kids a day right now. We hope that opens up some more. I would be one of those who would speak in favor of seeing things open up more in general. I'll just speak to that. We could serve more kids here. I would tell you that we could serve more kids here. We would like to serve more kids and help more families. especially those who are struggling for things for daycare in the summer. So I'm one that would be hopeful that these things will continue to ease, and so we can do our mission the best we can do. In terms of support from the community, I think we're going to look closer at the third quarter. We've had, we know that some businesses have been affected by this, of course. We've had some donors who've stepped up, which has been great, and some foundations and those kinds of things. Appreciate that. We're holding our own. We want to continue to serve our mission, and that's where we want to focus. So I thank the community for the support it has given. We want to be able to be open more. We want to get people back in these buildings, our donors and our visitors and our volunteers, and we look forward, to that. The big question going forward is, what's the school district going to do? And then what they're going to do is going to drive what kind of club we'll be in the fall, and whether we're into the after school and evening programs, or whether we're shifting gears and doing day programs based on when kids are out of school. So that's my quick report.
Okay, well, Marc, thank you very much. I know you have to sign off, and we appreciate you spending some time with us. And I'd like to remind the audience that we are recording this. And if you want to see it, view it later, you can certainly do that. And also, we encourage you you're all muted, but ask questions either on the Q&A tab or the chat line. Please feel free to do that. So with that, I'm going to move to Jeff Schneider with the Oshkosh Community YMCA. Jeff is a familiar face with the Y. I think you've been there for a number of years in a leadership position, but now you're at the top position, taking over for what's his name? What's his name? I can't even think. Tom Blaze.
He's gone.
He's gone. How soon they forget. But Jeff's a great guy, and stepped into had some big shoes to fill, but is doing a great job with that. So Jeff, if you want to give us a little update on from the YMCA.
Thank you, John. Absolutely. I did try and talk Tom Blaze out of retirement because we certainly didn't bargain for a pandemic when I took this job. It's been a very interesting time for the Y, and much like Marc said, we closed for almost 3 months and had to shift gears and find different ways to deliver our mission and to make an impact in the community. We immediately went into a pretty robust effort on the virtual side by recording classes and programs and things for adults so they can exercise at home. We had story time for kids. We had virtual family bingo nights. We did everything we possibly could to try and stay relevant and stay connected to the community, not just our members. Virtually everything we did was open and free for the entire community, whether you were a member of the Y or not. We did do some member-only classes to keep people healthy. We made phone calls to seniors and to our vulnerable populations to try and stay connected. Really, even though our buildings were closed, we tried as best we could to deliver impact. And I think we had, those videos, we had 60 or 70 some odd videos that had 60, 70,000 views. So I think we were able to deliver some impact. But when you sit down and look at it, that was the easy part. Locking the doors and turning off the lights, while it was hard not to see the kids and the adults in our buildings, it was actually the easy part. Reopening was the hard part. Gearing up to reopen and kind of doing it under a new normal, not, cleaning, adding staff. It actually, even though we still have almost 400 staff laid off from the YMCA, costs have increased. We have to do things differently in terms of cleaning. We had to rearrange our buildings, and all of that came at a cost. We're currently running, we lost 25 to 30% of our membership. And like Marc, our programs are pretty slow. Normally we're caring for, 500 kids or so in the summer, and right now we're doing 120. We were able to provide essential childcare while we were closed, which helped. We cared for 50 to 60 kids a day of people that still had to work, either in industry or in healthcare. And that has slowly come back now that we're open. But really overall, we're running anywhere from 28 to 35% of our normal capacity. And so, when you look at that, and there are a number of things we're just not doing yet because people aren't ready to come back, or it's just not safe for them to come back yet. But, we normally have about 30 classes a week for seniors. Right now we have 0. We normally have about 500 people in healthy living programs that deal with cancer and Parkinson's and veterans issues. And right now we have 0. And all of that comes at a cost. And under this new normal, the Y, just really like any not-for-profit, needs to sit back and look at 3 main things that really are happening because of the virus is, our sustainability, our ability to deliver relevant impact long-term. What is that going to look like? Our capacity to deliver programs and services. We certainly, with the university shut down, that's the bulk of our labor pool. And now, even in the summer, we're having some capacity issues in delivering because we have staff that have gotten sick. We've had several, we've actually had 4 positive cases which have, among staff, which have shut down our camp and our downtown summer fun club, at least for the next 2 weeks. And then obviously, the most important thing is the financial health of our organization. Like I said, all of this comes at a cost. We are not generating anywhere near the revenue that we normally would to sustain our mission and deliver our mission programs. And so long-term, we need to look at what is this going to look like, by the end of the year or going into 2021. And as Marc mentioned, for the Boys and Girls Club, it's the same for the Y. We need to see what the school district is going to do. That impacts us on the after-school programs. But the big thing is I guess the hardest part of all of this is just not being able to answer questions. What are things going to look like tomorrow, next week, or a month from now, or in 2021? We've been very fortunate on the donor side. People who support the Y have stuck with us. Some may have had to lower because of their own financial issues personally or with businesses. And we've been able to receive some funding to sustain us in terms of some grants and things from the Y of the USA. But I think long-term, funding of not-for-profits is going to be critical as we move forward because it is going to take us quite a while to recover. In order for us to continue delivering on our mission and to have a relevant impact in our community, we are going to need to look towards more funding to sustain us. And that's the world we live in right now. I guess that is kind of my report from the Y side.
Jeff, a quick question. I mean, the YMCA took a pretty bold move in opening when it did. Can you talk us through what was that discussion that you guys had to go through and in order for you to pull the trigger there?
Sure. We, we're in the people business, so being closed is really not an option for us. We're shaking hands and hugging and working with people, and it's difficult to close the doors. We knew we needed to open as soon as we could. We had daily meetings not just here, but statewide with every YMCA in the state. And pretty strong consensus with all CEOs that, we needed to get back open as soon as we could. And, be somewhat aggressive with it, but also be safe with it. And we immediately reached out to our health department, but we also on our daily phone calls, Zoom meetings, we generally had somebody from the governor's office, the state health department. We were pretty aggressive as an organization to say, hey, we need to open up. You need to help us. You need to provide us with some guidelines on what we're going to be able to do. So I think we were able to move the needle a little bit as a state organization to get ourselves reopened. So we made the decision locally to open on May 26th. We moved pretty fast. We were fortunate enough that we were able to keep, during the shutdown, about 70 of our full-time staff working. So we were able to get our buildings ready. We were able to, we immediately started buying supplies because we knew we were going to reopen and it was going to be different. And then we said, okay, let's open up slowly and let's have a phased plan. So we actually have about a 5 or 6 page phased plan. And we thought that phase was going to take us probably into August before we had things opened up. And after our first few days being open, we kind of said, okay, it's time. Let's add some hours in. Let's get the pools open. Let's get some locker rooms open. Let's start group exercise back. And so we're actually speeding up our reopening plan quite a bit. And we have some youth programs that are going to start in July. So I felt we were, pretty aggressive and bold with our reopening, but I also feel that we're doing it in a very safe manner.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff. Well, we're going to switch gears a little bit and go from, from the service delivery more to the funding component of this. We have Bill Wyman and Marianne Dilling with us. I think I'll start with Marianne. Marianne is CEO of the Oshkosh Area United Way. And I think we have some slides that we need to get up on screen for her. So Marc will load those up. There they are. And Marianne, you can just take it from there.
Thanks, John. I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a new world for all of us, I think. And it would have been great if this would have came with some kind of handbook or instruction manual for all of us to figure out. But we at United Way were kind of learning the old United Way, and now we have a new world. And so what we started to look at was the Oshkosh COVID Fund. And this is actually a partnership between the foundation and ourselves. And I really am proud of this team because this team has been very creative. The Oshkosh COVID Fund is a relief fund for different agencies in our community and their needs. And if you, Marc, if you would move to the next slide, I can share a little bit about where the funding has started already and a little bit about some of the story. I'm just going to go to day-by-day warming shelter as a great example. The day-by-day warming shelter normally closes in April. With all the coffee shops closing, the library closing, where do our homeless go? And that was one of the biggest challenges we saw in the community. And so basically very proud of the organization that they reopened, but they needed some help funding. And the COVID Fund was able to help and assist in that area. The other work that I'm seeing is kind of exciting and I think also daunting is the landlord and tenant education pieces. I wasn't aware that if it goes on your record that you are evicted, it is on your record for 20 years. So it is very difficult for your future. And that was just an educational piece, but a lot of it is just communication between the tenants and the landlords. Talking with the landlord, he had 5 tenants, 4 of them could not make their rent. Okay, so this is just something that we haven't seen, and we're going to see a little bit more as this continues, unfortunately. But the educational pieces that are being put together are going to be instrumental to our community and truly make a difference. What I think about the team that's been put together between the foundation and us, and then we also have some community members that are allocating the money. I think what's also exciting is they're being very creative, and what I mean by that is, for example, the food pantry came forward and said, we need boxes. Instead of buying the boxes, we were able to reach out to a company, Silver Star Brand stepped forward and had boxes made for us and actually donated them all. That is just a way of stretching those dollars and being responsible to the donors. It's still open, the fund is still open. I'm not gonna steal the thunder away from Bill. Bill will go through kind of what our numbers look like, since it is a great partnership. But the collaboration, I think, is just something that you're going to see consistently throughout what I'm seeing through United Way in our community. On the next slide, you actually get to see one of the first things that we did. We actually decided to put together a PPE drive, and it was for our frontline people. It was a great collaboration between the convention center and then also the firefighters. And you can still drop off any supplies, but the supplies were hand sanitizers, cleaning supplies, masks, gloves, thermometers, anything that anyone had, because we need to make sure our front line's protected, but also the fact that the people that they're serving, which is our community, is also protected. So that was one of the things that we really were able to put together and had a great drive. Unfortunately, we did not get a picture of the very last of all the different, but at least we had a sampling of some of the things that were being dropped off. On the next slide, you're going to see we started with, this was an Amy Albright idea, which she is just full of ideas, which she came forward and actually said to us, we have some great bags and we want to help with the COVID fund. And so basically what she came up with was, let's work with other businesses in our community and put together a bag that can be dropped off. So if you donate $25 or more, you can do a text to give, and it's right there on your screen. And basically, you get this goodie bag. And in the goodie bag are a partnership within our community. You'll get a book for a child, or you'll get some canned koozies, or you'll get some ice cream from A&W Root Beer. But it was great that Verve stepped forward, A&W stepped forward, and 4Imprint, and we were very lucky to have those partnerships. And what's exciting is I think these partnerships are going to be stronger than ever and are going to continue, through the rest of our community, which is something I'm excited about, because I think this did break down some silos and gave us an idea to understand what everyone does and how we can really pull together and use our strengths to be the strongest we can be for Oshkosh. The next one you're going to see, this was Ascension, and we started to, as we're home, what do we do and how do we feel still part of this community? And so it was a partnership with Ascension and Herald. And basically what happened was we put a full page, it's actually Together Oshkosh, to put in your window, just so that people who were out and about walking their dogs or their families around the community, that they were able to see that we were all thinking of everyone. But also on the back of it, what can you do as a family? What can you do as an individual that maybe you're shut in alone? These were just little activities to make people feel a part of it. And there was a little trivia in there about our community so that people could start, feeling that sense when we're all, alone in our homes. So I think that was one of the challenges that we started to hear about and try to address. On the next slide, you're going to see we have already started our investment for this year, and there are going to be 3 different areas. We're definitely going to see a skyrocketing in mental health. It's reality. We're already seeing it. Financial stability. All of us were affected. Everybody was affected. We always say 1 in 3 were affected by United Way. I can honestly tell you that everyone in the community in some way was affected by COVID. And I think what's kind of hopeful is the people that were affected, but maybe not affected by their career, and what I mean by their financial stability. And I'm hoping those are going to be our givers in the future. And those are going to be people that, as Jeff said, the agencies are going to need help. And there is no question in my mind that this need in our community is going to be greater than ever. 46% of our community before this didn't have basic needs. 46%, and that's why we're affecting 1 in 3. So these are just going to be our future. These areas right now, if you know of anybody that can apply to address some of these needs, please, our application is open right now to apply. You see the information right on the bottom. The deadline is June 30th. And then we actually have a great process where people come from different parts of the community, and they're the ones that allocate the donors' dollars. They're the ones that determine where the money goes. And then we have some great programs out there because we fund programs, not agencies, but the programs that will address the needs of these 3. So as I said, we're really excited, but June 30th is the deadline. So please reach out to us and let us know if you want to fill out a grant application. My concern for United Way, kind of what Marc said, we lost one of our fundraisers, our golf outing. And the other part of it is our money comes from donors and they allocate out of their paycheck. And if by chance they don't have a paycheck, that money's not going to come in, and we're going to see that in the second quarter. So we're stepping back and we're watching and being extremely responsible fiscally to make sure that we can continue to allocate that money to the agencies and the programs that are doing phenomenal work. So that's really what we're trying to address and make sure that we're there for this community. On the next slide, you're going to see some of the meetings that we're involved in. And I think this is where that collaboration is coming together and partnerships. We're definitely seeing the United Way leaders in the state of Wisconsin coming together. And I love that because I'm very, very known for stealing ideas, and I'm stealing, shamelessly from everybody I possibly can to bring to our community. And so that's been very helpful. And we're also sharing what we're doing here at the Oshkosh Area United Way so that they can use our manpower to help out with some of the needs that they have. But as you can take a look, there is just a lot of meetings going on, and we're very familiar with Zoom. And it is definitely a new world as far as seeing face to face, and we're all about building relationships. So we're trying to make sure that we're building that relationship even though we're not physically present. And then Farmers to Families, I'm hoping that you heard about this. If you look at the next screen, we actually are giving away, with a conjunction with the USDA Farmers Relief, and this is helping our farmers. So if you've been out there, 2,000 boxes were distributed this past Monday. It is going on all of June. And basically in these boxes is milk, eggs, cheese, yogurt, chicken, and cars are going through and they're taking it. And it's for anyone. There's no income requirements for this. We're just, helping out with other partners in this community to make sure that people are fed. So that's another one. And please direct anybody of your teams that, have had some kind of hardship, or if they just need to get some food, please send them our way. It will be going on every Monday, and it's over at the Cole Center. And then in closing, basically, we're all in this together. I mean, we can come out of this stronger. And I think that we need to be bold for one another. We really need to step up, and make a difference. We are the way, all of us are. And we're the way to make this community where we work, live, and raise a family a better place. And if we've ever needed people now, it's never been this strong. So I think that's the biggest message, is the fact that we have an opportunity here. And I believe in Oshkosh, and I believe in the people that here. And I know that when asked, they've stepped forward. So that would be my closing comment, except for one thing I do need to add is, I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but John's birthday is today. So I want to wish John a happy birthday.
Jeez, I was trying to forget about that.
39 never looks so good.
Yeah. Well, actually, I look like this at I was 39. The gray hair is well, actually my kids will remind me it's white hair is a fooler. So, geez, thanks a lot for bringing that up. My daughter's been poking fun of me all day. So, but anyways, we'll move on from that. Just reminding everybody who's listening in, if you have questions, please just forward those over to us through the chat line or the Q&A line. And we'll ask those questions at the end of the panelists' comments. So with that, Bill Wyman, President and CEO of the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. Bill, take it away.
Well, good morning, John. Thanks for putting this all together. This is, I normally watch it weekly. I might have missed one or two, but overall they've been very informative. So thanks for doing this. Thanks to the Chamber. Both Marc and Jeff, both of you run premier organizations within Oshkosh and nationally. You're rated highly with everything you do. So Oshkosh is lucky to have such a strong Boys and Girls Club and YMCA. And I know COVID's hurt both of you in a lot of ways, but you have strong organizations, and I'm sure through all this, there'll be a new normal and you'll be on the top of the game again. As far as working with the United Way, as Mary Ann said, the Community Foundation's been working with the United Way on a number of things. This new COVID-19 relief fund that we've jointly assembled has been very successful, and our working relationship is really strong. For years, the Community Foundation has asked nonprofits throughout the community to collaborate and work together, and we get things done with programs if everybody works together, and then the funders may not work together. So it's good to see the funders finally getting together. Not that we haven't in the past, but this is a strong program. So everything's worked well, and hopefully we'll continue to grow this and do other things together. Just a couple highlights on the COVID Relief Fund. As Mary Ann said, mental health is huge. It has been a very important thing for the Community Foundation and the United Way in the past, but through this COVID, there's a lot more need for counseling and just people having issues, and it's very important for us to stay on top of that. Food, to be frank with everybody, there is plenty of food. The Father Carr, the food pantry, all the pantries have lots of food. The Grab and Go program that the school district put together supplied tons of food. Feeding America, USDA, everybody's really pitched in. So I think one of the first huge basic needs for everybody is food, and I think the community is and the region's done a great job of meeting that need. Housing, as Mary Ann said, the housing is another really prime basic need, and the Community Foundation, along with the United Way and the group working on the eviction, it's important for us to address. There are people that can't pay their rent, and it's hard for the landlords too. It's not just the tenants. So we're addressing that. The Community Foundation has a few other COVID funds. We have a COVID fund for Green Lake. The Grab and Go that I mentioned earlier, that's strictly for COVID. We also have a number of donor-advised funds where individual donors have addressed the COVID issue. Overall, the Community Foundation has given out, and the United Way together has given out over $228,000 to address needs for COVID. And I assure you that that's just the beginning. This COVID thing's going to last a long time. You heard Jeff and Marc talk about operations issues. They're not the only ones. Every nonprofit around is having issues with just running their business the way they used to, and the costs and how they're going to raise money. So we will continue to address that. We've had a terrific amount of donors come to us and give either maybe $25 to the Grab and Go or hundreds of $1,000s for their funds so they can give out. So it's small and large, but we've had a lot of donors coming to the community foundation wanting to help, which is really good and makes the community stronger. I have just one other thing that, well, I guess everything else will tie into COVID, but there's another thing that's happening with COVID that I think is interesting. The community foundations in the region, which would be Green Bay, Fox Cities, and Oshkosh, along with a lot of private foundations, along with a lot of corporate foundations, are meeting on a monthly basis to address the COVID issue regionally. And there will be, through the U.S. Venture Open and through some other funding, there'll be other funding available for the region to address the COVID issues. So it's good that we're addressing it not only on a local Oshkosh level and our county level, but also a regional level. So I think that there will be a new normal, but I think that overall we're going to come out of this just probably stronger than ever because of the relationships we're building. Some of the other things that the community foundation's involved in over and above COVID, first of all, I just like to congratulate the food co-op. The community foundation has been the fiscal agent for raising the money for the food co-op. They've done a terrific job. They have over 1,300 members. They are going to be on the corner of Merritt and Jackson, and you're going to see preparation on building there over this summer, and they're hoping by next summer that we'll have a food co-op. So that's exciting that that's been a success. It's good news after all this disheartening things that are happening. Scholarships. Community Foundation is extremely involved in scholarship. Cheryl Fowler is our education director here at the Community Foundation, and she works on scholarships like 90% of the year. However, this time of year is the big time when we give out scholarships. This year we gave out over 356 students received scholarships. We awarded over $388,000 out in scholarships. 9 schools in Winnebago County, 9 high schools were awarded scholarships from the Community Foundation, and then also Ripon, Green Lake, and Wautoma also got some scholarships from the Community Foundation. The Community Foundation manages what's called the Fox River Scholarship Center website, which is a group of all different scholarships, ours and others. There's over 400 scholarships, and it's a great way for students to get a feel of what scholarships are available and how they apply and all those things. So that's a big job for us, and we're just getting through that. So that's an exciting time for the Community Foundation. Another area with education that the Community Foundation is involved in is the new Fab Lab that will be at North High School. Wave Robotics and the school district is building a Fab Lab at North High School. The money has been raised to actually do the construction. So next fall, there'll be a new area for robotics, and tying to that, we're going to update the tech rooms, the wood tech, the metal tech, the engineering area, and the electronic area. So there's that was built at high school, was built in the 70s, and they still have some of the lathes and some of the printers and some of the machinery that they had back in the 70s. And technology has changed machinery so much, and the school district hasn't been able to keep up with it. So this is a time where we're going out to businesses and finding out what the needs are. The tech teachers are talking to different businesses to find out what they need when the kids get out of school. So we're going to help address that, and hopefully we can raise some money and get some new machines in the school district so these kids get out of high school and they're ready to go in the workforce. Another area that we haven't really talked about today is arts. There's a lot of different art organizations in this community. Every year we have a cycle and we give out money for arts. In the past, it's always been for special programs like plays or things at the Payne or maybe the Oshkosh Symphony, things like that. This year we're changing it, and we're going to help out operations because like the Grand, for instance, is having, they were supposed to have a fundraiser and that didn't happen. So there's a lot of arts organizations that are also hurting from COVID. So we're changing our art grants to improve over and above programs. We'll support programs too, but we're going to help them with operations, which is kind of different. Salvation Army, they are remodeling and adding on to their building, and we've been helping with that. You'll start to see that soon. Right now they're in the design mode. They've made some changes in the redesigning what the addition will look like. So it's exciting that the Salvation Army will be improved. That building's been around for a long time, so it's good to that's going to be up. The Salvation Army does a lot of good things, so that's exciting. Tri-County Dental, that's a organization out of Menasha that helps children with dental needs. They have a bus, and the bus every year goes to our Oshkosh elementary schools, our middle schools, and the Boys and Girls Club. I'm not sure if it goes to the Y or not. It might. And it cleans teeth. It does fluoride treatments. Well, the bus was built on an RV chassis 7 or 8 years ago, and the bus is starting to fall apart. So they're raising money for a new bus, and the Community Foundation is right there with them to support them. And by next fall, you'll be seeing a new dental bus. So that's a very positive thing. A lot of other small things we're doing, but one thing that we just finished up on was help the school district with the Franklin School playground. And a lot of people in the Franklin School area have donated to make the playground new and exciting. So with that, we're also helping with other playgrounds. The city is doing a lot of things with like Little Oshkosh and things like that. So we're doing a lot with a lot of different organizations, and COVID is, of course, the prime purpose right now, but I just want to say the Community Foundation has involved a lot of things besides COVID. So thanks for having me on, John. I guess I'm wrapping up.
Well, perfect. A lot of good collaborations going on, partnerships going on. Community is one thing that this community has always been is very caring. It's always stepped up when it saw the needs and responded to those needs in a very effective way. And one thing with this, nobody knows what's coming next. I mean, it's kind of a lot of moving parts and a lot of changes every day. So response has been outstanding. One thing I know I'm getting calls. I know you're all getting calls from other nonprofits in the community. I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits that are doing good work out there, providing services from that affect the human condition to a variety of other needs out there. As businesses have been affected, I know businesses and their employees are big contributors to try to keep those organizations going. So what do you guys see on the horizon in terms of the community's ability to prop up and keep all these organizations going and doing the good work that they have been doing? Anybody can jump in on that one.
I think as the needs arise and they bring their issues to the Community Foundation, the United Way, that we'll address them. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of change, I think, as far as how the nonprofits work and how we address the programs and the issues that are out there. I see on the chat someone's wondering how we're dealing with the race issues. Well, racial that's just another very important thing that we need to address. The Community Foundation is using the word more equity rather than racial, because I think it's there's issues across a lot of areas, but it's just another huge social issue that needs to be addressed, and the Community Foundation will collaborate with the United Way and other organizations to try and offer systematic change. That's the big term these days, about changing the system. But we'll look into things and see how we can improve it.
You know, and in the chat also, you know, we have someone that came forward with evictions, and no, there isn't a choice. I mean, I'm hoping that they communicate and so forth, but that's their livelihood. I mean, that's their business and their revenue, just like any other business, which I totally understand. But we're going to see those people on the street, and we're trying to come up with a solution for that. We're not looking for a solution of, you know, we'd like them, you know, obviously to pay their rent. And that is probably our biggest thing, is just making sure that once it does, you know, transpire, what do we do next?
Okay. As it relates to questions, I think both of you addressed the ones that we had that came through on the chat line. I think you guys have done a very good job in terms of outlining and making our audience aware of issues that, you know, affecting not just the service providers, but also the funding agencies behind those sorts of things. You know, we have a United Way campaign coming up shortly. Marianne, can we tell us a little bit more insight on that? I know I think you have the Chancellor and his wife coming back to help you build on last year.
Yeah, so basically what we did was we implemented a new system where the current chair stays on for 2 years, and thank God Andy was willing to help us out and be that first person. And then the second person that will come in as the co-chair with Andy is Brian Brandt from Oshkosh Corporation. And what's great about that is then Brian will stay on for 2 years. They both bring different things to the table, and they bring different ideas. And we're going to have to be really creative, because I'm not sure, you know, the companies have been so affected. And so how do we come in and run that campaign? And so we've been surveying the businesses to see what that's going to look like for this year. And we want to address it in a obviously a safe way, but we also realize that, you know, our job has become a little bit bigger just because what's coming down the pipeline. So we're excited to have them both on board. We do feel they are going to be instrumental into the success of this campaign. But it's really, we haven't always been about the money as much as we are about our community and what the community needs. And we're here to assist and serve in any way possible that we can here at United Way.
Great. Well, we're 45, 50 minutes into this. Again, we appreciate your participation. Thank you for everyone who's tuned in today. We hope to see you all in person. Again, I'm one of those that want to get back to normal. It would be a nice feeling. So many of us are doing those sorts of things. One thing Bobby Miller reminded me of, we're holding a drive-through job fair coming up on July 15th at the Chamber. We're working with the Workforce Development Boards, and this is part of a broader regional and statewide effort to help assist and link job seekers to jobs that are available here in Oshkosh and also the region. So a little different than coming into a convention center or a meeting space. People will actually be driving through the Chamber parking lot, and we'll be handing them tote bags with flyers from a variety of companies who are seeking people. So be looking for that. Employers, if you have jobs, if you have spots that you're looking to fill, please connect out to us. We'll give you some of the details in terms of what to do and how to get that information to us and packaged and that sort of thing. So it's all this is all causing us to do similar programs, but different. Delivery is much different than we've had to do before. So with that, again, I'd like to thank Marianne Dilling with the Oshkosh Area United Way, Bill Wyman, Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, Jeff Schneider, Oshkosh Area YMCA, and also Marc Dosogne with the Boys and Girls Club for joining us. We plan to do one of these again next week. I'm still working on a topic for that. So, but I think we'll probably take the 4th of July week off from this, and then pick them up again in mid-July. So with that, again, it has been recorded. It's on our website if anybody wants to go back to this and look at this presentation again. So again, thank you panelists, and thank you all for attending. And we are done for this week, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Thank you, John.
John. Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
Happy birthday, John.
See you later.